Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Don Joe number MEST-104. This is a extended lip strike plate is what it is. It's a pretty big one. In terms of its lip extension, I don't know that there are any that are actually larger than this. This is a 4-inch lip length, is what it is. This is a 4 7/8 type strike, meaning that it's intended most likely to be installed in a hollow metal frame, which have that 4 7/8 preparation, although it's not unheard of to install this into a wood frame. But you would really, I find people will do that only when what they're trying to do is mitigate some damage that's been done, and they want a larger strike just so they can chisel everything out or whatever the case might be. This is a strike that features a very long vertical cutout, and that could be used for a mortise lock. Would not be ideal for a mortise lock, but can be used. It wouldn't be ideal for a mortise lock with a deadbolt, I should say, because the holes are actually not in the same vertical center line of a deadbolt prepped strike for a mortise lock. That deadbolt is generally held in a different position so that when the door is closed and the latch engages the strike and holds the door in the latched position, when you throw that deadbolt, the deadbolt is generally, the door is pulled closed and then it generally relaxes slightly. It'll hit the weather stripping and push back or whatever the case is. And that hole for the deadbolt is actually kicked out a little bit to compensate for that. Not on all locks, but on some strikes they are. This, of course, would not really allow that, but nonetheless, that's kind of how these work. Has a 4-inch long lip extension. Why would you use that? Well, an unusual wall condition where the frame has been installed, the wall has been brought up to the face of the frame, and the frame is generally set into the wall deeper so that when the door closes, the latch is literally hitting the wall until it hits the standard lip strike, the lip length of a standard strike prior to it being able to keep the door in the latched position would be typically why you would see that. A wall condition, if you've got a hollow metal frame that's 2-inch, let's say you've got a 8-inch block wall. You have a 5 3/4 frame set inside of that, but then for whatever reason they bring that material, the wall material, over and then back to the face of the frame, which is not unheard of. You'll also see it in custom woodworking applications as well. That's where you'd see a need for an extended lip strike. Maybe not this big, but the same principle. So let's take some basic dimensions. The overall width of the strike at the top is 1 1/4 inches. The overall width now is about 4 5/8, but strikes are measured from the center line of the screw hole to the edge of the lip, and that is why this is called a 4-inch strike, because it's a 4-inch lip length. Overall height of this portion, that's not real critical. That's 3 3/8. Again, that 4 7/8 dimension. Now, the hole cutout, that's a common question that I get. The overall height of that cut is 3.5. The overall opening of that is about 3/4 inch. Okay. Made of stainless steel, solid stainless steel, in fact, in a brushed finish. This has the peel-away paper film covering the face of the strike itself that you will peel back once construction is done. Okay, revealing a chrome finish, revealing a brushed stainless finish. This is made of 13 gauge material. I don't know what decimal size that is, but it's probably about 1/8 of an inch. There is a link below this video to a document called Template, where you can review all of those dimensional properties that I just somewhat went over. I don't see where they give us well, they say it's 090. 13 gauge is 090. If I put my caliper on the edge of this, well, it's spot on. It's 090 is what that thickness is. And then the balance of that template, the only other thing I think to point out is that it's available in a 630 solid stainless with a brushed finish or a DU finish. They're going to take this same base material and then powder coat it dark bronze is what they will do on that. Now, we talked about where you would use this strike, its dimensional properties. You might also use it when you have an inset condition where the door now, not the frame. If you were to stand on the pull side of a hollow metal frame and door, the door is kicked in a little bit. It's about 3/32 of an inch, about that. Aluminum storefront doors are sometimes inset as well, and those are generally a 1/8 inch inset, but they also make flush frame style, where the door and frame are flush on the pull side. Well, imagine if that inset was 2 3/4 inch, okay, or some dimension like that. It's not common, but it's not unheard of either, where you have, I've seen applications where there's an 18-inch wall, thick wall, 18-inch jamb, doors literally set in the center of those deep frames, and yeah, those require custom strikes. Construction of buildings, homes, over 100 years ago, well, you know, late 19th century, you know, they weren't using steel to hold those buildings up. They were using super thick walls on their first floor locations, and that's, you know, where you're going to see unusual circumstances like that. So while you may not personally encounter something historical like that, that principle explains, it illustrates a condition whereby you would see it. You also might have unusual casing applied to a standard installation. You might have brick mold or something built on, or you might have added shutters over something for some reason. You know, you might need, you know, to get that strike not touching anything it's not supposed to touch. So use your imagination, I guess. Now there's a link to the product catalog, which is there, and we could do a find function for MEST 104, Control F, or Window or Mac key, whatever it is, F. And you'll find the chart of the MEST, which is the Mortise extended lip strike applications. They're meant for mortise locks, meaning this huge cutout. Now another way, and not so much with an extended lip strike, a standard lip strike, but you will find an extended cutout, inside of the strike is also used to help mitigate fatal errors. There are manufacturers of hollow metal doors, Curry's and Steelcraft come to mind, where their lock locations are 5/16 off center. Customer calls, I need a new door. Okay, tell me the hinge locations. Okay, great. You might have a door that shares the hinge locations. That's unlikely. But you might have a door that's lock location is very close to what your client needs within that prior given height of the strike. And you can say to them, well, what you have is a custom door. That's going to be made to order. The hinge locations are odd. The lock location is odd. Here's an option. Use a $100 continuous hinge. Use a strike that has this huge cutout. Come over and get my standard stock door, which will be the third of a cost of a custom door. And then you're in good shape. You also can use these long cutouts. I've sold them to people. We drilled the locks 1 inch too high. My guy can't read a tape measure. That sort of thing. So that's also where you'll see the long cutout. You don't see long cutout and extended lip really together unless it's a mortise lock that I'm aware of. But you will see extended lip or the long cutout, and then occasionally both. But that product catalog will show you the table. It will show you the other extensions that it's available in. And indeed, 4 inch is the greatest extension, the most highest extension available. You might find it interesting to scroll through the rest of that catalog so that you can look at the other possibilities. 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 4 7/8. And being Don Joe, they can custom manufacture a strike to any size that you want. There's a worksheet on the final page there. Be mindful, though, that is generally quite expensive and in most cases cost prohibitive because of the labor that's involved. But if you have need for security strikes, I would recommend that you go through there. Forgive me. If you have need for extended lip strikes, I would go through that, certainly. There are also security strikes that are there past the halfway point of the catalog that you might find interesting. Finally, tantamount. Actually, no. Screws are included. These are machine screws only. That would be typical because they're expecting it to be a hollow metal frame and a mortise lock, 4 7/8 long cutout. Second to last. I don't remember the second to last. Lastly, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Danjo products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you know the name Danjo at all, you probably know the name because of door reinforcing wraparound plates and latch protectors. Those would be the two products that you'll see from them. But on that manufacturer's page, you'll be able to scroll through their subcomponents of their catalogs, the sub-chapters, and review the balance of their line. They have a relatively petite footprint of material, but they're really great in lots of areas. They do trim and auxiliary hardware. They do filler plates for steel doors and steel frames. They obviously do extended lip strikes. They have hinges and a variety of items that might come into play. They are independent. They are nimble. The person who answers the phone is the person who understands the product and can go out to the back and ask a question, that kind of routine. So in that regard, they're traditional in the sense of individually owned hardware companies. Much of their material is made in the United States as well. Any questions on the Danjo MEST-104 extended lip strike or any other Danjo product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.